Hello and welcome. Very official. Hello. Welcome to the news at 10.
So, what qualifications do you have?
What do you have?
That's a very good question. I'd like to move on, please.
Wow. Hello and welcome to a brand new series. This is called Count Out. Do the hands. Count out like Thai. Hands. Count 10. This is essentially a top 10 series, but we are not doing what we think is the top 10. They've been done to death by every single wrestling channel. We are going to do our top 10s. Our personal, selfish, what we believe is the top 10s, because we want to hear from you. We want to know what your top 10s in a specific wrestling category is. I am your host for today. I am Sam, and I'm joined by Baby Sam today.
Hello there.
Sam's on Wrestling. It goes. Sam's on Wrestling. Don't question the name. So today we are going to be ranking our top 10 worst WWE World Champions. So that is WWE, World Heavyweight, Universal, not ECW. That was not a World Championship before anyone wants Ezekiel Jackson. So there's a set, I'll repeat one more time, these are our top 10s, not one of the ones that you've been told over and over and over again. Have your own opinion. That's what this channel is about. Having your own opinion. So please put your top 10s of worst world champions into the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're going to start with our 10th worst world champion in WWE. Sam, what is your 10th worst?
This one makes me sad. In fact, all of this makes me progressively sad. Really sad. Really ruining the mood today. But this one makes me especially sad. It's Dean Ambrose.
Oh, yeah.
Great choice for a champion. I really wanted him to become champion. My word, the way he was booked.
The way he was booked in general.
And the way he performed as champion in general.
Oh, the James Ellsworth stuff.
Yeah.
They got James Ellsworth over more than they did Dean Ambrose.
And in fairness, that was actually post Styles winning.
Yeah, I know, but it still was
same level.
Yeah, it was all happening at the same time.
Ziggler at SummerSlam, and it was the definition of meh.
Yeah,
it was
why
all
would you
just
do
meh.
that? Why would you do that?
It was really underwhelming.
I don't have Dean in my top 10, but I absolutely had him in my shortlist because it just... Why couldn't they just let Dean be Dean?
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, we've now since seen what Dean is Dean, so maybe they were right.
Yeah.
My 10th, and this is going to shock you, how low it is on the list, or high, I suppose, is the Great Khali. Now, this is what I'm saying already. He is a mark, okay? When people go, the Great Khali had a 2-month World Heavyweight title reign. It came at the back of Edge getting injured. He won a Battle Royal. That makes sense. People didn't want him because he's a worse wrestler. Was his world reign that bad? He had a match with Kane and Batista, which was fine. Like, it's literally Kane and Batista. It was fine. No one botched. It was just a bit dull. And then he had a match with Batista, which again was a bit dull. But Batista looked like a bit of a badass for being able to pick up and beat Khali. His world title reign was literally the definition of meh. It was not bad. It's not one of the worst. If you were talking about who is the worst world champion in terms of ability or or who deserves it and all that lot, yeah. But in terms of actually the worst, no. He did nothing that was actually bad. It was just a mere reign on SmackDown to get to Batista because Edge was injured.
I will come to Khali later. Quite a bit later, actually. And I will have my counterpoints. But at number, is it 9?
Yes, no, that's usually follows 10.
Usually, yes. I get very confused with numbers here. I've gone with The Big Show.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about The Big Show again. I've gone his reign. You could pick a few.
No, is that a few?
Yeah, regrettably. I've gone probably the first time he won it. It was so random.
This is overall as a package.
That's really what brings it down the most. It just was such an odd decision. Why give it to him? He was never ready for it. And I don't remember a Big Show.
Are we talking, because I tell you what, you're talking about WWE, he was given the WCW title on night 1, his first ever match.
Well, weirdly, I think that's kind of good as a note. Oh my God, not that. Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm on about, Google Halloween Havoc 95. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lovely hug.
Yeah.
I don't have Big Show on my list.
Fair.
And his first run, I just think it was such a surprise, it was fine. It was interesting. It's why he lost it quickly. It was like, the reason I don't have him is because I think his little run that he had with Sheamus was really good.
Yeah.
And I think it was a great match. I thought he was a believable world champion at the time because he'd actually become a bit of a badass. He'd had one of his gooder. He had a gouda. He liked a cheese.
The gobbledygouda.
The gobbledygouda.
Yes.
I like that you linked that to wrestling. It was really, really good. Brie Bella. Yes, cheese pun. But no, I thought that was fine. I liked him beating Brock in drop tip angle because they need to get to angle. Again, was fine. I think there were just a lot of fine or meh. And again, I don't think it was bad.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Bad.
I don't know.
I
wrote this on a
But no,
plane.
this is your opinion.
I had little sleep.
Let's not talk about you having to rebook your flight to China.
Let's not.
My number 9 is Diesel.
Mm.
Now, again, a lot of people go, really? I was like, ask the question. In 1995, how many people could win that world title? 3? Brett, Shawn, and Diesel. Maybe Sid a little bit when he came back. And then maybe Undertaker. You're looking at 5 people. And is his reign bad? Yes. It's really bad. But he has decent matches with Brett. They're fine. He's had to deal with matches with Mabel and people like that, which is difficult. Like, his reign is long, but they were trying to rebuild a star. They tried to make him a babyface blandness. They're going, just let Kev talk the way he wants. I don't know why he wasn't just a heel champion, but Vince was there going, we must have a babyface champion. A long babyface. We've always had a long babyface champion. He just didn't want to back a long heel at that point. And that's what knocked him down, is actually the booking that went around him. I think his reign in 1995, with the business at its worst, who else could have really been in that spot? Could you keep having Brett and Shawn be the champion? Otherwise, you might have killed their kind of runs and stuff. Maybe Undertaker actually should have had a long run, but he got injured against Mabel and all this lot. So for me, I don't think it's as bad as it's made out, because I think it's always linked to the money.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. If we took it as a draw in consideration, Kevin's one of the worst, Diesel's one of the worst, but it was fine. But is it bad? Yeah. Is it one of the worst? It's definitely in the top 10 for me.
Yeah, I just think you do have to take the fact that it was drawing so low into account. That is a problem, and what good really came out of it? Like, it's notoriously remembered as
it made Diesel a star, so much so that he could go to WCW and become an instant star. So without that title reign, I don't think he gets him into the main event, which gets him into WCW. So arguably, it did more for Kev's career than it did for WWE. Number 8, Sam.
I have gone, and maybe I've got the criteria wrong here. I've gone Goldberg, but in brackets, I've gone Universal.
I have also got Goldberg at number 8.
There we go.
How interesting is that?
Well, if you think about when he won the World Heavyweight title, and I'm really more thinking about WWE. Because
I can tell you, I was watching live, I can tell you exactly what happened during that first world title. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't great. The execution of it was bad because he should have won it at the Chamber, and he just dropped it instantly. What made me put him here is the Universal Championship run. He won it off Kevin Owens for no reason. Kevin Owens was white hot. He's just about to do he'd just done the Festival of Friendship.
That's not the worst one.
Well, what's the worst one?
Him beating The Fiend is worse.
Oh, I forgot about
that. That's worse.
At
least Owens was distracted by Jericho.
I forgot about that.
He beat Fiend going into Mania 36.
Oh.
Are you sure? Are you sure you shouldn't have him higher?
PTSD. Maybe it should be.
For me, that's actually the biggest incongruence. His world title reign is actually fine. The matches suck because Goldberg shouldn't be having 15-minute matches. They did a good storyline where Triple H put a bounty on him. That was quite interesting because people were trying to attack him. I actually liked that storyline, and I think it could easily be brought back. Now it's been 21 years, 22 years. Bring it back. It's every title reign afterwards that he had when he was an old man is so unnecessary, and the fact that it's always been against a big star that is getting over, and it killed them. Stone Dead Owens has not had that stardom since.
Not been a world champion.
You know, and he hasn't, and The Fiend, obviously, I don't think he'd won the title after that. No, he won it off Strowman. Yeah. But again, he was dead by that point. It was nowhere, the character was awful. That's why Roman comes in and just ruins it. So Goldberg, yeah, every title reign is awful, and he's lucky for me he's not higher. I think just the fact that it's Goldberg is why he doesn't go higher to me.
Yeah. So for number 7, we've talked about it just a bit earlier. I've said Diesel.
Yeah.
For the reasons really that you've said.
He is in the top 10.
Yeah, I've just put a few more people below him really, but I just think, like
that money does make a massive difference.
And are you ever going to go back and watch purposefully for your own pleasure a Diesel match from that title reign?
Yeah, Brett.
Okay.
Survivor Series, fair match, really good.
Fair.
Like that match. And Mabel, because I have to keep watching it for review purposes.
Yeah.
Stop making me watch the Mabel match.
You're making yourself do it. I'm doing nothing.
My number 7 is Dolph Ziggler.
Interesting and fair.
Dolph has had 3 world title reigns in WWE. Or has he had 2? Or has he had 1? Or does any of them matter? That's the problem. If you sat down and went, how many world title reigns has Dolph had? Well, is it 2? Is it 1? Is it 0? Is it 3? Is it 9? He's had 2. Yeah?
I think he's had 2.
Right? He was given the title for 11 minutes, wasn't it, against Edge?
Yeah.
And he was, not a main eventer, he was not a star, and that just made him look awful. It made the title look bad. Why not give him the title and then lose at the Rumble, like weeks later? What would have been wrong with that? I actually genuinely don't see what was wrong with that. What was the point of him having it for 11 minutes just for Edge to take it back? Using the spear that was banned, my memory is telling me. Put it in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's what it was, I think. It's literally... WWE was in a dark time around this time, and it got darker, and then it got even more darker. But like, when we do worst years, Jesus.
Well, 2011, Punk is about to come around and save us.
But it wasn't great. We'll get onto that when we do that another day. But I just think that then he win the world title against Del Rio. Amazing pop. What a fantastic pop. What happened afterwards? He got a concussion, and then they do a decent double turn, but he loses the title, and then that's it. Never gets there again. You had 2 arguably worst reigns from a booking perspective, because like you were talking about Carly and like 2 months of meh. Dolph had too much of nothing. He had 0 because he was on the shelf for most of his big reign, and he had it for 11 minutes on the other one.
Yeah,
that's your championship. Are you telling me that is worse? Not worse than Carly? I'm sorry, no.
It's fair. I just think as a moment again that him winning the title does bump it up for me. It can definitely be on my short list because of the reasons you said. But the double turn is good. So if you just look at that body of work for what he actually
that's
did...
not the title reign.
Is that when Del Rio's won it? So
Del Rio wins it in that match, but is that the title reign? Do you really talk about...
I think it's important to talk about how you lose it.
No, I agree.
That's important.
But the match, actually, if you watch the match, it's awkward.
Yeah.
It gets Del Rio over more than gets Dolph over.
I can see your point, but I wouldn't quite have it in my top 10.
He also randomly wins the NXT title about 20 years later for some reason. Number 6.
So for number 6, I've gone with Sid.
I don't have Sid on my list.
I just don't like Sid.
Yeah, I get that.
I just think he's...
Well, and you're now into the realm of you getting second-hand Sid, aren't you? You're not really getting first-hand Sid.
I admittedly cannot tell you a lot of details about Sid's title reigns, so maybe I'm being harsh. I just think, when is having Sid as a world champion a good idea?
Arguably, Sid is a top 10 worst world championship. Absolutely fine. I think if you did the top 10, that's fine. Remember, these are our top 10. These are what we think. So it's also what we don't prefer either. You know, and that's what you got to remember that. If you see someone go, oh, they're a world champion, that's your decision. So don't pick what you think the worst 10 is. These are what our 10. So for me, for Sid, his match with Shawn's fine. It's quite good, actually. He takes the title. It's quite surprising. Decent run there. He wins it randomly off Brett between WrestleMania 13. Not sure, don't understand that. But again, they're really short reigns. They're like a month or 2 months long overall. So literally it leaves, in my eyes, no impact. So the question is, like, how much do you judge it? Like, Dolph was not around for me, whereas Sid was at least had a decent match with Shawn, and he pooed himself against The Undertaker, which is really funny.
Undertaker is scary.
I would poo myself over The Undertaker. But he had, like, rubber gloves. He looked like he'd done the washing at the time. You know, maybe that's what he was scared of. Have you cleaned the toilet?
Well, he prepared for Sid's incident, to be fair.
I've got a very controversial 6 coming in here.
Go on.
Really controversial. I'm pretty certain this person's not on your list.
Go on.
John Cena. I hate every single John Cena WWE and World Championship reign.
Oh, come on.
I hate every single... Remember, we're not saying these are the worst. These are our. Now, literally, you can go through every single one. There are so many that last a month. So he just wins it again. Super Cena, boring. Then his 380-day reign, crowd are booing him as a babyface. I wanted him to go away. He just got go away heat for me. He was ruining it. I stopped watching around 2008. And he and Randy Orton are one of those reasons. I was sick of watching them because it was the same thing over and over and over again. The amount of people he kind of didn't let have a chance, not his fault necessarily. Like Edge wins the Money in the Bank, loses it again. Great. You know, then he beats Styles just to drop it in Elimination Chamber. Why? What's the point? You know, there's so many title reigns that are just so either boring or nothing or destroy a character or destroy a wrestler, and none of them are any good. Like, there's like the odd good main event match that he has, but you realise that a lot of these came much, much later on. So the majority of them, there's 16 to go through, are really bad. That's why 6 are not higher, because there's some good ones in there. Every WrestleMania match he's had has pretty much been decent. When he's had the title on the line, Shawn at 23 is the one that really sticks in my mind. But the thing that annoys me the most was Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Beating Rey the same night that Rey wins it. And they're going, we need, Cena to have the title, so we're going to have Cena and Punk at SummerSlam. We need the SummerSlam match. And you're like, leave Punk off it. Do Rey and Cena at SummerSlam. That's a decent match. And it destroyed Rey's World Championship reign. He's already had bad ones as it is. And I just was so angry every time Cena had the title.
And it's not
so angry.
That's not exactly a babyface move, is it?
No, and that's the thing. He's babyface on all of these.
That made no sense.
So for me, if I've got a babyface champion, I want to be supporting them. And every time Cena had the title, I was just like, And especially in that opening 4 or 5 years, how many matches would you say are good? If someone has had the title for pretty much the permanent of that 4 or 5 years, you can name 3, 4 matches.
I could probably name a few.
But my point being is, if you've been champion this entire time and you're picking 4 or 5 matches, what's happening in the other ones? Oh, not for me. For me, John Cena, every time he was champion, hated it.
That's fair. I wouldn't put him in there. I absolutely get your points. And Roman made a really good point when he said his 1 title reign of 1,000 whatever days means more than his 16.
And they do.
I actually agree.
Cena's one of the worst multi-time champions. He's one of the best ever, don't get me wrong. But as a champion, his, like Charlotte Flair's, are inflated. Dramatically inflated. Number 5, Sam. Number 5!
Number 5, I've written Yoko here, abbreviated Yokozuna.
John Lennon's wife.
Yeah.
She did ruin the Beatles.
I could see her winning the WCW title.
And then staging a protest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Vince Russo would book that.
He really would. I've gone with Yokozuna.
I get it.
How much do I really have to explain that Yokozuna was just not a great champion? Couldn't speak English really, and he's just that traditional bland, he's foreign and therefore he must be a hero.
He's Samoan, he speaks perfect English.
Yeah. But it didn't speak English, the character didn't.
Bonza!
Yeah, exactly. It just was rubbish. I don't know how much I have to explain. I liked
Yoko. I thought his first run was actually fine. Not fine. Well, first main. Well, he's got 2 runs. He lost it in minutes to Hogan. That's terrible. So that is kind of like the Ziggler thing. His run was fine. Probably had it too long. Probably should have lost to Lex at SummerSlam. His matches got slower and slower. I think he looked like a monster heel. So for me, I don't think he did that bad at all. My number 5 is Jack Swagger. Now this could easily be high, but I've got 4 who aggrieve me more. And I think it's not about who I think is the worst, it's who aggrieves me. And Swagger just hadn't won a match in months before winning the Money Back and then cashed in 6 days later. Jericho lost a shoe for that world title defeat.
The gut wrench powerbomb was that powerful.
Think about all the cash-ins and think about the moves that hit them. These incredible moves that hit to win titles like Edge's spears and all this stuff. And the gut wrench powerbomb. And you're like, really? He couldn't talk. He then tried to copy Jericho with the suit clad, and they put him in matches against The Big Show, who just did nothing in those matches, and then he just lost it to Rey Mysterio for some reason, who didn't do anything with that. For me, I know he's going to be on your list. I'd be surprised if he's not. It was just the wrong time, the wrong person to cash in. That Mania, there's so many other options you could have had to have won that Money in the Bank. And then to not book him, it was almost like that was the year that was the last Mania one, and they had Money in the Bank to come. And they were like, we need someone to take this Money in the Bank, and we need to get rid of it as soon as possible. So who can we have take it, win, and then lose later for our other plans? And that's what it felt like, and that's not right. Yeah. Your number 4, Sam?
My number 4 is Carly.
Fair enough. Carly. Yeah, fair enough.
For me, I can get that the reign was executed okay. It's just, for me, it's one of those people that just should never have been world champion.
But why, though? Is this from a character or the person? If you had a character who's 7'3", has already taken The Undertaker out, in character, and is a monster huge man, why wouldn't he? Because in my eyes, if it was real, and you're booking it, and you're taking it as kayfabe, he would be a world champion level
Of course,
person.
it makes sense, but skill-wise, to be a world champion, to carry yourself as a world champion, to be entertaining. Was Carly entertaining?
He was over in India.
Great.
Did you hear they used to take, let's say, Raw in, let's say, 2011 or whatever, when Carly's now nothing, right? And he'd have his match, like, let's say, an hour in, and it'd be like 2 minutes long. The Indian Raw feed, they would cut that match and put it last, so it was the main event. Like, how great is that? I love that. I want that to happen in England.
Just wrestling Camacho in the main event.
Like, when the Nexus attacked, that wasn't the main event. That only happened 20 minutes into Raw.
The ring has been miraculously prepared.
Yeah, it was just we wanted to put Wade Barrett in the main event in Raw and in England. Yeah. No, I get, it's fine. It makes the most sense to me. Yeah. We're going to go from little and large for the number 4s, because I've got Rey Mysterio at number 4. Sam?
I get it.
They are the worst title reigns in history. In history, the worst title reigns. The only reason he is not number 1 is because there's been 3 worst people who have been world champion and who didn't deserve it or ruined it. But for Rey Mysterio at number 4, for Rey Mysterio at 4, he's had 3 title reigns. Let's go through the 3 of them, Sam. He wins it at 21. Great moment. In a 7-minute match. 22. It's close enough. They look very similar sets. In a 7-minute match, got bumped for so much time. Should have been awesome. And then he literally loses every single match. Mark Henry, Carly, again proving that Carly would have won the world title. He literally beat him. Why did they not have a world title shot later on? Oh, because you don't want Ray to beat Carly, because it's Carly's debut sort of region. He lost to Finlay. Yeah. He had a draw with Sabu. This is how bad this reign was. It was really bad. And then he loses it to King Booker. Quite frankly, as much as I love Booker T and I love that character, it's a comedy gimmick character. I actually think he became better as world champion. But at first, you were like, really? And I think Chavo cost him that with a steel chair. So he didn't even lose it clean. And then he wins it randomly off Swagger. We've just talked about how random that was. And he just has another match with Swagger to lose it to Kane. It felt like we need to get to Kane.
Transitional champion.
The most transitional. And then, as we talked about earlier with John Cena and how much I hated that, he wins it for a night. Every single reign of Ray is not good. You just wanted to have a real reign, and they never wanted to do it because I don't think they ever believed he was a world champion.
It's fair, and I think we've gone for slightly different criteria. I've gone worst world champions as in choices to make world champions. Mainly, I've kind of taken the mains into account. Mm-hmm. His reign.
This is why it's your top 10.
Yeah, his reign is awful, but I loved him winning it, and I think it was great that he was world champion.
And I loved that moment as well. I agreed.
I can't argue with any of you.
It's bad.
I've gone more with decisions to make world champion. Number 3, I've gone with Swagger.
This is where Swagger's turned
I relate to many of your points. You know what it is? I was 10 years old when Swagger was champion. At the time, I thought
I'm so old.
This is how bad it was. I thought wrestling was real.
I was at university.
Primary school. So I'll just let you cry whilst I talk to the camera. I liked it at the time because I believed in kayfabe. And I thought, wow, his gut wrench powerbomb is lethal. He was ECW champion and he was booked pretty strongly. So I was like, wow, this guy's ankle lock, he's like really good. I now see the light. Watching it back, knowing what I know now, my word, how awful, how bland, how many better people you could have made champion. Just woeful.
Like, I can't remember necessarily the 10 people in the Money in the Bank. I always get it confused with 25 because my brain goes...
Christian should have won.
Because that's 25 though, isn't it?
No, he was also in 26.
Right, because Christian should have won in 25 instead of Punk. And there's so many people you could have gone with who would have been better even if you were transitioning. And that's, Swagger easily, I had Swagger up and down. I think Rey Mysterio's annoying me. My number 3, and I'm amazed it's not turned up yet, I wonder if it will turn up, is Vince McMahon.
Oh.
Now, it's literally, I've obviously clearly done it on Reigns for a lot of the time, and how it's done, and but he books the company. And the minute somebody who books a company makes them world champion, I immediately despise them. Jeff Jarrett at TNA, even though it's Jeff Jarrett. But Vince was a 56-year-old man. He's still the oldest world champion in history. And not only did he win it, he then just vacated it. So he didn't even lose. And I'm just going to throw this in there. I know ECW doesn't count. He also won the ECW title and held that over for like months. And he killed ECW there. They were already death's door. And then went, no, I'm going to make me champion and make it worse. Vince's one-day reign, I know it's only one day, and we talk about, reigns are worse. Like, Cena's have 16, and they're just so annoying. Vince has had one for a day. And because you could have said Kane, for example, has had a one-day reign, and that one, his world titles weren't great. But this is a man booking his own company, and for some reason, he decided to have the title off somebody, and the title went back to that person anyway. So it literally made no difference. I hate it that he booked himself as a world champion. Who is your number 2?
Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, I've not put Slaughter on my list, and that is very, very... Oh, that's correct. I could have easily had Slaughter on my top 10.
Just atrocious. Like, the entire angle, he's just not world champion material. I'm trying not to sneeze here. Yeah, woeful. They literally had to make the WrestleMania arena smaller.
Didn't he blow his nose on the American flag? So
there you go.
No, yes. He could have been on my list. I don't think he's the second worst world champion, but this is your opinion, that's absolutely fine. No, it is bad. They wanted to get to Hogan from Warrior. They didn't want to do Hogan Warrior again. And then they decided to do the Iraqi sympathizer thing right at the time when it was really hot. And then they pretended there was a terrorist attack, but they just couldn't sell out the arena, so they had to move to a smaller arena. Bad. It's a really bad... And he couldn't wrestle. He literally couldn't wrestle at that point. He was getting gassed all the time. People know Sergeant Slaughter as the legend, and you think, oh, they say former WWF champion. Go back and watch it. It's not good. And it doesn't disappear really quickly either. But do you know what's crazy? WrestleMania 7, he's in the main event with Hogan. WrestleMania 8, he's in a throwaway tag team kind of comedy-ish match at WrestleMania 8. That's the believability. He is the Miz of that sort of time. I
literally thought the Miz.
Because Miz did the exact same. 27, main event. 28, Teddy Long, Lauren Knights tag team. That is what...
Yeah.
That is what it is.
I just think nothing was really gained out of it.
No.
It didn't really help anyone.
It didn't help Hogan either.
No. So many better people could have made his champion. Is a terrible angle.
My number 2, Sam, this is going to surprise you.
I know what you can say.
Is Jinder Mahal.
Who on earth do you have at number 1?
That's the interesting thing. Now, I know full well Jinder's going to be turning up in about 30 seconds or so. So I will let you talk about it and we'll talk about it now. I assume Jinder's your number 1, my Sam.
Surprise, surprise. Jinder is number 1. He should never, ever have been the champion.
Absolutely
and not even just the choice, the way they booked it. Because if you're going to go with, okay, Jobber suddenly becomes world champion, that could be interesting.
Jack Swagger did again.
But you've not made it interesting. You've not actually followed the story beats. You've just suddenly gone, he's got the Singh brothers, and now he's this bland heel because he's foreign.
He beat Randy Orton 3 straight pay-per-views.
Beat Shinsuke Nakamura as well.
I was going to get to that. That one was worse because they threw racial overtones.
Yeah.
So your world champion, this is my number 2, is, with racial overtones. People are looking at it since it got released with rose-tinted glasses. No. People stopped watching. No one in India started watching. Do you know why? Because he's not Indian. He's of Indian heritage. He's Canadian, predominantly. Yeah. So, they're not stupid. They know that. That's why the Khali is huge and over in India, hence why they had to use Khali during the Punjabi prison match. And to get kind of him over. They handed Khali the title so they could have the image in America of India, with him with the WWE Championship.
Upside down.
Yeah.
But
he always wanted to be, maybe he just wanted to be the Miz.
Maybe. Yeah, everything that you said, but they also wanted to market him to India and made him a heel. So it's not even like they're going to root for him.
And traditional foreign heel, which is just dead. It doesn't work anymore.
And that's past the point that it was just really,
and they never sold
rubbish.
tickets in the India show either when he made event as Triple H, and Triple H went over.
After he'd already just lost the title a week before, just as you're about to get to India.
Do you remember how he lost the title?
To Styles in Manchester.
Yeah, but do you know why?
Oh, so that he wouldn't face Brock.
Brock didn't want to face him. Brock said no. Brock went, nah.
We love you, Brock.
Don't worry. Thanks, Brock.
Yeah.
There's not many great things I would say thank you to Brock for.
No. That is one.
But when it comes to Jinder, I'll say, so my number 1, and everyone's waiting going, who's number 1? Not mentioned, maybe Miz hasn't been brought up or anything like that. My number 1 is John Bradshaw Layfield.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is he the worst ever world champion? No. Jinder Mahal is. Greg Khali is probably number 2. Swagger's probably number 3. Vince is probably number 4. But if you were a fan in the Ruthless Aggression era, like I was, I started watching wrestling in 2001, so I started really knowing and understanding everything that was happening. 2002, 2003, so you've had the SmackDown 6. SmackDown's amazing, right? Then things go left side. Edge gets injured. Eddie Guerrero starts to struggle a little bit with being champion. And you got Benoit's already moved to Raw. So the SmackDown 6, Chavo it went to Cruiserweight because he's been split up from Eddie. So we're just losing that SmackDown 6. The main event scene's getting weak. They need somebody. And they go for JBL. They turn a mid-card tag team wrestler into a main eventer. And they did a really good job turning him heel. Eddie Guerrero did a fantastic job. That reign hurt me so much. There are so many people who stopped watching wrestling in 2004 because of JBL. People go, oh, WWE dropped so much from the Attitude Era. It didn't. There was a drop because there was no other competition, but there was still a big fan base, still getting 5 million and all that lot. SmackDown tanked. And JBL didn't have a single good match in his reign. He came out, and everyone talks about Triple H's reign of terror. This was there. This was 9 months of him just non-stop coming out, talking nonsense, having a match that was slow and plodding, because for some reason, the minute JBL becomes a main eventer, he loses his fitness, he stops being thin, he was like ripped, and then I don't know if that was anything beforehand or whatever, but he now becomes kind of very slow plodding. He had terrible matches and killed a main event scene. There were so many times you could have dropped the title and gone, that would have been really good if you dropped the title there. First of all, he took it off Eddie. I know that was kind of an Eddie sort of decision, but he took the title off Eddie months in. How dare you? How dare you be the one to take it off Eddie? And generally it felt how dare you, on an awful pay-per-view, I'll point out. Then he has a Mexican Wave match with The Undertaker at SummerSlam. If you're getting a Mexican Wave with Taker, you're bad. Yeah. He has things with Booker T. Booker T was the first person to beat him around Survivor Series. So this is 7 months he's not even been pinned, Sam. And nope, doesn't get Booker T. Has a fatal four-way with Eddie, Undertaker, Booker T. Gets out of it again. Royal Rumble, Angle, Big Show. Nope, gets out of it again. And then Big Show with a steel cage, climbs under it. It's not good. And then his match with Cena sucks. Like, I tell you what, it's that moment from WrestleMania 21 that just really just peaks. I tell you what, I just cannot get over how much I hate the title reign of John Bradshaw Layfield. Jinder Mahal hurt, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. I thought it was so stupid. Whereas JBL was a believable person to be world champion, and it just didn't end. And nearly made me stop watching wrestling as a 12-year-old going into 13. Imagine being 13-year-olds going, I don't want to watch this. If you're making a 12-year-old, 13-year-old not want to watch it anymore, you ain't good.
I can't argue with any of those points. I probably should have put him on my list. I wouldn't put him in one. But again, I think it's more a personal thing for me.
It's personal.
Because of the timing. And
Yes.
Jinder is very similar for me.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that.
But that is our top 10 in count-out of our worst world champions. What are your 10 worst world champions? Who aggrieved you the most? Was it The Miz? The Miz hasn't landed on the list.
Oh, I love The Miz.
Was it The Miz? Is it The Miz? It could be The Miz. But who is yours? Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe and comment on your top 10s. We have been Sam's on Wrestling and thank you very much. Sergeant Slaughter was a world champion.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's depressing, isn't it?